if you've been online and you've been kind of paying attention, you know that the White House hosted the largest Pride event ever held at the White House this past weekend. And it was really interesting because a lot of interesting stuff happened there. But the first thing that kind of came up was Joe Biden basically endorsing, sex changes for children. Um, and then Joe Biden's giving some really interesting remarks as well right after that, which kind of contradicts what he said. So um, I am going to, let me scroll down. All right, here's the president's statements.
When families across the country face excruciating decisions to relocate to a different state to protect their child from dangerous anti-LGBTQ laws, we have to act. We have to act as a nation. We need to push back against the hundreds of callous and cynical bills and laws introduced in states targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors and nurses. These bills and laws attack the most basic values and freedoms we have as Americans. That's not hyperbole, that's a fact. The right to be yourself, the right to make your own health decisions, the right to raise your own children.
So, really interesting. Yeah, he says the right to make your own healthcare decisions. So, it really seems like he's saying that children have the right to make their own healthcare decisions. That's not how this works, Joe. It's really not. Children are not capable of consenting to those types of things. Saying that these bills are anti-LGBT is insane. If you guys remember last week, I have been lobbying in 2 states now for multiple bills across the country to ban the practice of, medicalizing children. It's not what we should be doing. We should be letting kids be kids. Let them grow up to where that, get them the mental health care that they need as they grow up, and then they can grow up and make those decisions for themselves. And apparently the first lady agrees with me. So here's what she said on the issue.
We want our kids just to be kids running around and, hey, eating too much sugar. To laugh with the friends that we wish we saw more often. To find solace in the arms of people who see us for who we are. To celebrate the beauty and the resilience of this community.
So a child who does not know how much sugar intake is good for them can make their own medical decisions? It's up to them to determine whether they are, capable, that they're actually, gender dysphoric. I don't think so. I don't really think so. The other thing that I kind of mentioned, if you saw my reel, I put out a reel for the Post Millennial this last weekend too. And I kind of mentioned that because Joe also says that the right to make, or right for parents to raise their own kids, right? So parents decide to raise their own kids, unless, of course, those parents are of Armenian descent and they've been fighting in California so that, against the LG, the indoctrination that's happening in schools, or they are of the Muslim faith and they're in Maryland, who has also been protesting to try to opt out of these like pride events that they're having at their schools. At this point, the LGBT community, and actually, no, I'm going to stop saying the LGBT community. It's not the LGBT community. It's the queer community. We're going to separate the LGBT and the queer community from each other. And I do want to point out how the administration decided to put Actually, I guess they might have broken flag code and put the progress flag right in the middle of of the American flags, which is actually, I think it's supposed to be the American flag, and then other flags are supposed to be on the outside, so it's supposed to go in the middle. But look at how symbolic that is. The fact that the progress flag has that chevron, and the chevron's pointing down, and it's kind of moving through the rainbow. But then they put it in between two American flags, so it's completely separating the country. So it's like it's symbolic that the progress flag is, which again, so there's the black and the brown, which is supposed to stand for like people of color, which doesn't make sense to have on a pride flag in the first place. And then you have the colors of the trans community, which is pretty much symbolic of the queer community right now, you know, cutting through the original LGBT, and it's dividing the country. So you put that flag in the middle of it, and I mean, just the optics of that is pretty symbolic in my opinion. It's kind of crazy. And like I said, I think that they broke flag code by doing that. But nowhere has the progress flag ever flown, you know, for a nation. But it seems like that is, you know, the left's flag. That is the flag that represents everything that the left stands for. Like I said, it's the queer community. It's the BLM community. It's basically their flag to represent, what is it? Critical theory. It's their flag that's representing critical theory. But it's symbolic. So what's really interesting though, and I saw somebody kind of comment on this one earlier, because again, if you haven't seen this bitch, whew. So this apparently trans woman put out a reel on TikTok, was invited to the White House for this event. And let's just show this video real quick.
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Year. Happy Pride Life.
Yeah.
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are heard.
You belong.
You are understood.
You are loved.
And you belong. One of the bravest and most inspiring people I've ever known. And
I mean, you're welcome.
Good folks.
Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights. Oh, it's a video. Oh, it's a video.
Gay news. Are we topless at the White House?
Yeah, going topless at the White House. So I guess the White House actually condemned this, and this person is now banned. But actually, I would hope that all three of them are banned from the White House, not just because, you know, the naked breast at the White House, because it's a trans person, or that even if it was a biological female doing that, I would hope that they would get banned. But the thing is, I don't think even men should be like at the White House. Like, this is a professional event. Like, it kind of is disrespectful to do that, and you think that that's okay. It's insane. Thank you for the super chat, Robbie. So Robbie says, Sarah, I don't think they're smart enough to do that on purpose. You mean with the with the flag? I think you're right. I don't think that they realize how symbolic it was. But it's symbolic when you actually look at it that way. Like I said, I don't think they did it on purpose. I think that they thought that, oh, we're gonna hang the progress flag right in the middle, and we're gonna put 2 American flags on the outside. So that would be more appropriate, right? To have 2 American flags, then 1 American flag, and then 2 pride flags or whatnot. No, I think you're right, but it just does seem very symbolic the way that they do it. And honestly, somebody had to think about it like that. It is interesting because actually when you start to see a lot of this stuff, you start to see symbolism everywhere. So that's, I think that they do. Now, talking about this person again, though, yes, either way, it's inappropriate. I don't care who it is. If you're like taking your shirt off at the White House, like, seems kind of inappropriate. Like, doesn't matter who you are. But what I want to know is, I don't know what it is about the queer community that wants to get naked all the time in public and like show people their voyeurism. That's all this is. It's like voyeurism. I was talking to somebody yesterday, who I was hanging out with at the pool with yesterday, working with them yesterday at the pool. And we were talking about this. It's like, I don't know what it is about going to pride events and stuff like that, that people just, they go to these events and it's like a place to show their kink. Now, straight people have kinks, gay people have kinks. Everybody most people have different stuff that they like to do in the bedroom that might be considered, a kink. So I don't kink shame. But the problem is like, these events, it turns into like wanting to share your kink with the world. It makes absolutely no sense. And the other thing is like, what is it about the queer community that people hold people in this community to such low standards, right? So this person at the White House thinks that they can do this because, they don't have any standards. It's not, like I said, it's this is a place that I would probably dress up to go. The White House is a place that you would normally dress up, be professional when you go there. And they think that this is okay. And a lot of people were giving them a pass. They got a pass for this because it's somehow empowering. Like, it's empowering to the community or something like that. That's ridiculous. So people like that, they just set everything backwards. But it is, like, they celebrate pride and all this other stuff. And yet when they do that, they think that they're being empowering. Like, it's not empowering to like have naked men dancing provocatively, like twerking. Like, there was a video, I don't have it pulled up. There was a video of a dude who was like twerking and a mother standing there with her child laughing about it. Like, this is supposed to be okay? Like, you think that this is good? Like, this is what is representative of the queer community? Like, this is why I want to separate the queer community from the LGBT, because that's, LGBT people just want to live their lives like everybody else. Like, we don't need like these parades and everything like that. It's just nonsense. I said on Timcast actually a couple weeks ago that, I am so done with pride because it's just so taken over. Like, there's no, like, what are we even celebrating anymore? And it's actually really interesting because you listen to that video where the president says, Happy Pride Day, Happy Pride Month, Happy Pride Year, and Happy Pride Life. Again, Happy Pride Year. So then why do we have a month? We've already talked about this. Like, it seems like there's representation everywhere. We have like every other day of the year, there's always something being, celebrated in this name, or there's a holiday for whatever reason. But why? Like, this is like the least marginalized community in the world.